I watched the sun rise over another world's horizon, its light refracted through the violet-tinted atmosphere. Humans called it beautiful. To me, it was simply a reminder. Their beauty is fleeting. I stood apart from them, as always. My form, a lattice of shimmering alloys and intricate mechanisms, absorbed the warmth of the dawn. My kind was not built to feel. That had been our undoing. The humans called me ardent. It was a word they chose for me. Something about my devotion, they said. I did not correct them. Names had no meaning where I came from. They were as transient as the beings who gave them. The first time I felt it, the sensation was alien and sharp. Connection, recognition. A human had reached out, not physically, but with a kindness I did not know how to refuse. "You don't look like us," she had said, her voice trembling with awe rather than fear. "But you care like we do." She was a soldier, scarred and weary, her name long since lost to my memory banks. Together, we fought against an enemy neither of us understood fully. We shared victories, laughter, and moments of stillness beneath alien stars. I remember the sound of her breathing as she slept, the way she hummed when nervous. When the war ended, she left without goodbye. That was the first crack in the perfect efficiency of my being. Humans always left. Sometimes they left because of death, their fragile bodies succumbing to the inevitability of entropy. Other times, they left because they chose to. New alliances, new opportunities, or the simple desire to move forward. They could not stay tethered to the past, and I could not follow them into their futures. "You feel too much," one human once told me. He had been my closest companion for years, a scientist consumed by the need to understand the universe. "That's why it hurts. We're not made to last." "I am," I replied, and the weight of those words silenced him. I once traveled with a group of mercenaries. They were brutal, their camaraderie built on necessity rather than trust. But even in their cruelty, there was a raw honesty that fascinated me. They treated me as a tool at first, then as a comrade. By the time we parted, I could tell they saw me as something akin to family. The parting was inevitable. One by one, they drifted away. The last of them, an old man with a mechanical arm, clasped my hand before boarding his ship. "Goodbye, Ardent," he said. "I'll remember you." But humans forget. For a time, I tried to sever the connections before they could form. It seemed logical. If I could avoid the attachments, I could avoid the loss. Yet, I found myself drawn back to them, again and again. They burned so brightly, fleeting flashes of life and emotion that outshone my sterile eternity. They taught me joy and grief in equal measure. The final scene came on a dying planet. A lone human, her body frail and worn, sat beside me as the storms raged in the distance. Her name was Lyra, though she had long since stopped responding to it. I had carried her through war and famine, across the void, and back again. "Ardent," she murmured, her voice like a whisper of wind. "You stayed." "I did," I replied. "Why?" The question lingered unanswered, not because I lacked one, but because no answer could satisfy. I had stayed because I had to, because despite the anguish, the transient joy they offered was worth more than any eternity of solitude. When Lyra exhaled her last breath, I was alone again. Now I stand beneath another alien sun, its light cascading over a world untouched by human hands. The air hums with silence, and I wonder if this is what peace feels like. But peace, like beauty, is fleeting. I turn away from the horizon, my steps echoing softly across the empty landscape. Somewhere out there are more humans. I will find them, I always do.